So it's the year 2023. I'm 21 years old and I'm walking down the streets of my city, the city where I go to university in. So I'm here for a reason today. I'm about to attempt my very first cold approach. So I've been out for a couple of hours at this point, just like looking for some girls to speak to. And the best I've been able to do is just like ask some random old person for directions. I'm just feeling so nervous and stuck in my own head that is the absolute best I've been able to do so far. Then I start thinking to myself like, bro, if I don't speak to at least one girl while I'm out, then this has just been a complete waste of my life. Like, I have to make something happen. So I stop on the side of the road to gather my thoughts for a minute. And that's when I see her. This girl on the opposite side of the road, standing at the bus stop. And she is a stunner, bro. Like, she is some 9 out of 10 brunette girl, exactly my type, exactly the type of girl I would go for. And I say to myself, I've found my first approach. And at this point in my life, and like even now to an extent, I'm really putting girls on the pedestal. Like, I'm intimidated by girls this beautiful, but I say to myself, no, like I have to prove this to myself. I have to go and speak to her. And that's when the anxiety really starts to kick in. And I feel like when I get anxious, it's always the same things happening to me. Like, my body gets incredibly stiff, like especially my neck. Like, I just feel like I can't move my body like I usually can. I'm starting to feel a little bit lightheaded. Like, you know, when you're like about to go on stage or like do public speaking, like a similar feeling to that. And I don't know anyone else who this happens to, but like my teeth start chattering like they would if it was like cold weather or something. My teeth start chattering and I like have to control my jaw to make it look less obvious to someone else. So just in sheer anticipation of what I know I have to go and do, my body is like physically freaking out. Like, I'm super nervous, and that is definitely showing in my body language. And then every single thought that comes into my head is just trying to talk me out of it, trying to come up with a reason not to go over and speak to this girl. And the number one thought that I have is that she is just gonna find me creepy. I'm a stranger coming up to her. She doesn't know me. What right do I have to even speak to her? Bro, like, I start picturing every single negative scenario that could possibly unfold. I'm thinking to myself that the second I start walking up to her, she's going to immediately be on guard. She's going to be thinking like, who's this guy? Who's this like predator coming near me? She's going to look at me like I'm some disgusting creature. And then other people are going to start clocking on to what I'm doing. Like, we're in some public place. Are they going to start thinking that I'm some like sex offender or something? That I'm like preying upon some like vulnerable girl? And this isn't a big city either. Like, I'm worried that if I go up to her and she reacts badly, am I going to become known as that like creepy guy who tries to approach girls in the city centre? Like, am I going to end up on social media or on some like watch list? Like, look out for this guy. So my thoughts are just an absolute mess. I'm absolutely spiraling. But just for a moment, I'm able to turn all of that off. I'm able to tell myself, look, like, whatever happens, happens. You just have to go and speak to her. Just put one foot in front of the other and go and say hello. Like, it's as simple as that. So ever so suddenly, I'm able to force my feet to move a little bit closer to her. She's in my line of sight. I'm just gonna go and say hello. I've still got this absolutely massive lump in my throat. I feel like when I speak to her, I'm gonna like have some massive voice crack or something, but still, I keep walking towards her. I stick to the plan. I'm literally so close now, like I'm meters away from her. I open my mouth to speak, and then I just keep walking straight past her. I literally swerve out of the way of this girl and keep going down the street. And as I'm walking away, I feel like an absolute piece of shit. Like if this has ever happened to you, if you've ever said you're going to do something, you're going to speak to that goal, but then you flake at the last seconds, bro, like the drop off in self-esteem that you feel, like the absolute tank in self-confidence you're experiencing after it's unlike anything I've ever felt. You just feel like a complete waste of space. And it's only as I'm sitting on the bus going all the way home, not having spoken to a single girl in like 3 hours of being out, that it dawns on me that my own thoughts, this belief that I have that girls are always going to find me creepy, no matter what I do, is absolutely sabotaging me. Before I've even given myself the chance to open my mouth and say hello, I've already failed. Because I believe deep down that these girls are never going to see me as anything other than that creepy guy who's bothering them. And I know this is something that so many guys are experiencing right now. They'll see the videos on social media or like hear the stories of the guy approaching the girl on the street and she like flips out. She like calls the police on him or something. And that makes guys like not even believe they're capable of approaching. But I have the solution to this. A way to overcome that belief that every girl is going to find me creepy or like girls don't like being approached. I finally found a way around that and I want to share that with you. So honestly, after that story, I was just defeated. Like I just gave up on doing cold approach for about a year and I've only come back to it this year. So I'm out in London, I'm doing another approach session. I'm in this like very, very busy like market square part of the city. So there's loads of hot girls about, like the volume isn't the problem. It's just whether I can get over this belief that all these girls are just gonna find me creepy. But this time I have a different mindset. I'm going into this approach session with this new mindset that one of my mentors taught me. And that is to assume familiarity. So to explain what I mean by that, it's true that girls do have some concerns about strangers going up to them. Like that is potentially going to be an uncomfortable experience for girls because like there's lots of dangerous people out there. They've got to have their guard up. That is just the reality of being a girl. Now in the past, I used that as a reason not to approach, but this doesn't necessarily mean that girls don't want you to approach them. All it means is you have to give them that extra reassurance that you're not some like creep with bad intentions. And the way that you do that is by assuming familiarity. You go in like you're already their best friend. So I've just learned about this concept and I'm going to test it in the field. I'm going to see if my mentor really knows what he's talking about. So I see this girl. She's quite a unique looking girl. Like she's one of these like artsy, creative types. She's got like loads of tattoos, like tattoos all over her hands. So I go up to her and I just come with this like really positive, warm energy. Like I treat her as if she's an old friend that I haven't seen in a long, long time. I go up to her and I'm like, yo, like I really just wanted to compliment you on your tattoos. Like those are like really cool tattoos. I haven't seen anyone with that style before. And because I'm so positive, because I look like I'm genuinely pleased to see her, it goes down really well. Like that ends up leading into a whole conversation. And I feel like if I had gone up with a different type of energy, if I'd have let my nerves overwhelm me to the point where my body language is really stiff, I'm kind of stuttering, I just don't feel like myself, I don't look like I want to be there. Imagine like the difference in her perception of me versus like the really positive guy who's kind of disarming, who is going to give her that bit of reassurance that like I'm not a complete creep. If I'd have gone up to her with that like super nervous energy, she's immediately going to be a little bit on guard. She's going to be thinking like, what's his intentions towards me? And you might be thinking, yeah, but I am nervous. Speaking to girls and like cold approach can be incredibly anxiety inducing. I'm 100% with you there. And I undoubtedly was nervous while speaking to her. But my solution to that was to like almost take those nervous jitters, take that nervous energy and almost use it to fuel that positivity, like turn it into this like nervous excitement. Like, yeah, I'm a little bit scared, but I'm gonna like make it look like I'm just this really positive, like almost a little bit hyper person, like turn that energy into something else. So speaking to this girl, I almost look like I'm like just this really excitable person, like almost a little bit goofy, but I feel like that approach can work really well with girls. Like some guys just, they want to come in like and pretend they're some bad boy. Like they never smile. They always like speak with like a really like monotone voice, like trying to convince the girl that they're someone really tough, someone they're not most of the time. But that's kind of like, that isn't fun. That isn't that like, there isn't that playfulness there. It kind of feels a little bit forced. So I've almost found like letting go and easing into that more goofy, playful side of yourself can work really well with girls. So me and this girl with tattoos, we end up speaking a little bit longer. I find out some stuff about her, she finds out some stuff about me, but really it's that initial compliment, that initial like positivity that I came with that is really carrying the conversation. And when I finally ask her for a number, and I'm kind of unsure about whether she'll actually give it to me, because with some girls you can be having a really positive conversation, but then at the last minute you find out she has a boyfriend. So I'm kind of unsure about whether she'll give it to me. But she says yeah. And not only does she say yes, she thanks me for coming up to her. She tells me that like people just don't do this anymore. Like no one goes up to each other. No one has the confidence to do that. So she literally thanked me for coming up to her. Like this has happened multiple times to me since then. There are some girls who want to be approached. Like they're fed up with all of like the flakiness of online dating, like people wasting their time. They literally want you to come up to them. As long as you come with like the right energy, as long as you're this positive person, you give her that reassurance. There are so many girls out there who are perfectly fine with being approached. So that is the main takeaway. Like if you're someone who is like me, if you're worried about how you're being perceived, that girls are going to find you creepy, that like you're going to get the police called on you or something, just check your energy. If you're a little bit nervous, use that, like turn it into this excitable, enthusiastic energy. And then a lot of girls will be very comfortable with you approaching them. And all you have to do is just take that chance. I'll see you in the next one.